Okay, I actually started a video on projects that we are currently doing, so let's go back in time before we continue with this video and look at all the other projects that we have started. I have absolutely no idea how to use this thing.
So these are going to just be the 4 sides of the base.
So if you saw my video on comforting meals I eat this autumn, then you'll know that the weather has already turned pretty quickly here in Denver. It's definitely getting cold at night time, so I decided I wanted to build a little greenhouse for my worms. Unfortunately, a lot of other bugs moved in, so we didn't really want to bring them back into the house this winter. But of course, you want to protect them and make sure that they are nice and cozy. So I bought a plan on Etsy to build a proper little greenhouse I'll kind of lean to, but it was very complicated and they estimated it would cost about $500 to make the whole thing. And to be honest, that just seemed a bit ridiculous. So we decided to make a smaller version based on those plans to basically just put the worms in to keep them warm over winter. We started with a bottom, we had poles, we have a lid. The only thing we haven't done yet is to add the sides to make sure it is nice and warm. And I'm going to keep a thermometer in there to make sure I can keep an eye on the temperature so that it doesn't get too cold, and then adjust just in case it does. Okay, so naturally Frank was very jealous of all the jumpers and cardigans I've been knitting myself, and he wanted one for himself too. So I decided for my next project that I would make him a sweater because it would be something to help me to build my skills on knitting. I don't need another jumper, so it's really good for me to have a project that I can give to someone else. That's what we're doing. We're going with a forest green and it's very soft. And I couldn't find a men's pattern, so we've gone with a women's pattern. But to be honest, we both share a lot of our clothes, so I don't think that that's going to be a bad thing necessarily. Well, for me anyway. The only thing I might do is rejig the shoulders. He's obviously a lot more broad than I am, but I still have quite broad shoulders, so I don't think it's necessarily going to be too difficult. I mean, he's literally been wearing my cardigan to start work every single morning because that room is really cold. And I'll come in the morning and he'll just be there typing away, wearing my cardigan, just having a great time. So he clearly doesn't care. Among some of these slightly bigger projects that I'm working on, I also have been working on a bunch of little ones. Just because I wanted to learn things like how to make sourdough focaccia and how to make things more convenient for just single portions or double portions, things like that. So I've been making things like mini focaccia just to make it more convenient. I've also been learning to make sourdough focaccia and just trying different methods for the same thing. I also wanted to learn how to grow mushrooms, so I really just bought a very simple kit that is incredibly straightforward, and I just followed all the instructions, and after about 1 to 2 weeks I was given these beautiful blue oyster mushrooms which tasted unlike any store-bought ones I'd ever bought. It's a very special thing to watch things grow, especially when you think that you could probably go wrong. But there are plenty of simple ways to grow things and they seem to be a lot more straightforward than you initially think. My husband has also been working on a mountain bike. He basically took it all completely apart and cleaned everything, sanded everything down, and is giving it a completely new life. Okay, I've decided for my first ever crochet project, I'm going to make a granny square blanket. Never crocheted before. The only thing I tried to do was make a hat, but that was using raffia and that was very difficult and I gave up very quickly. So I'm going to count this as my first ever project. Okay, let's get started. Okay, one thing I've done before we started to get on this project was actually test out 3 different sizes of hook to see what would be the most comfortable as a beginner and what would work the best with my level of skill, which is 0. And then I made different granny squares. So we made one with an 8mm, and then we made one with a 6 and a different color in the middle, and then I made one with a 4.5. The 4.5, I think, even though I like it, I think it's going to be too small and it will take me a really long time. It'll like frustrate me. The only problem is that this probably looks the best, but I found it very difficult working with the 8mm one, even though it's supposed to be easier because it's bigger. But then this one kind of felt like a rectangle rather than a square. I don't know. I'm also torn between this middle color and this one, because this one's so light you might not be able to see it because of the white. Pretty good for a first go though, huh? I think to keep things simple, since I've already made 2 granny squares, I'm gonna go with the 8mm one, and then it will take me less time to create the blanket. It was pretty good, huh? I spent far too much money on yarn, so this has to turn out well. Over the summer, I did a lot of skilled girl summer projects, and I turned that into a series to help keep my creative streak sort of going and motivate me to try new things, to learn new skills, to be better at repairing things, being more thrifty, and ways to be more sustainable by learning those skills. And as we're moving into a kind of cozy girl autumn, I wanted to keep that trend going of building those skills, except taking it into a new realm of, instead of making new things right now, look at all the things that I can upcycle, I can change, repair, make better in some way. And I'm currently embroidering a thrifted denim jacket that I bought last year and haven't actually worn that often, but I've done one side. This is what we're looking like. I've done one side where I've done the flowers, and then on the other side I'm just doing some leaves. I thought that this was a really good skill to learn in case I have a stain on a piece of clothing that I just simply can't get out, and I don't want to get rid of that item because I really like it. Maybe I could embroider something over the top. You can of course dye that item as well, but dyeing is a skill that I've already learned. I'm sure there is plenty more to learn, especially in the realm of natural dyes and mordanting and all of that kind of stuff. But I wanted to use this opportunity to learn a new skill. So I am embroidering. I wanted to do a little bit more of a chatty and kind of casual video. A lot of my videos are very well put together, and sometimes it's nice to just talk to you about the projects that I'm doing in a more casual way, so I can really explore ideas with you and hopefully get your feedback. And I would love to hear about projects that you're working on as well, because honestly I have such a love for learning things at the moment, and it just makes me feel a little bit more excited about life and stuff. To be quite honest, there are a lot of projects I have started and absolutely have not finished. So this video was definitely an introduction to the projects that I am doing and working on. Some are almost finished, some are definitely needing to be started. So I'll keep you updated over the next few weeks, next few months on the projects that I'm working on, how they're going, what I'm going to be working on next, and definitely going to make a huge list of things that I would love to learn and continue learning next year. I've learned a lot of practical skills, which I will continue, but I definitely want to learn some other skills like fluent in Spanish, finally get fluent in French, maybe another language, just depending on how things go. We're going to move back to present day and we're going to finish this video by talking about what the next few weeks are going to be like. So this year I've decided I'm really going to get into the festive spirit. I feel like I was just a tiny bit of a Grinch last year, and I'm not going to do that this year. I'm going to really fully embrace the season. So I've always grown up with my mum doing the Christmas tree, everyone doing very specific roles in the whole kind of festive season area, and obviously now I live in my own house and can't rely on this one. So when things just don't magically appear and decorations don't magically happen, it just doesn't get done, and then you realize that you're being a Grinch and a child and not just doing things yourself. So this year I've decided to actually decorate the house. We're going to be doing everything as sustainably as possible, of course. Last year I only bought one ornament because I could only find one secondhand that I actually liked. This year we're going further afield. We're going to really explore the secondhand thrifting realms to try and find decoration for the house. I'm also going to try learning to make origami stars. I found a really beautiful pattern that I think could work very nicely, and then I can use things that we already have in terms of magazines, or I'm definitely going to do a Trader Joe's taste test again because that was really fun, and I really like their Christmas bag, so I could use those as well. Just upcycle them into stars and then hang them around. I might also give oven clay a go because I saw because I saw on Pinterest some really nice round Christmas ornaments or just festive ornaments where they took some kind of botanicals. A leaf. They took a leaf and they pressed it into the clay and then put it in the oven and then hung it. And it just looked really beautiful. Last year I tried making those like salt clay ornaments and honestly it looked like not even a 5-year-old made that. So I think we're going to be trying a bit harder this year, just a little bit harder. We're also going to be making macarons this week. I finally found a vegan recipe, so I'm so excited to try those out. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually looking forward to this. I'm very excited about this time of year. And yeah, I hope I can create some content that you enjoy. And yeah, let's get going.